Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Suplex Report. Get ready for all things WWE, news, match analysis, and more. Hit that bell so you never miss the action. There are moments in WWE that stop time. Moments when the noise of the crowd fades into disbelief, when generations of history come crashing back into focus. What happened on Monday Night Raw was one of those moments. After years of rivalry, distance, and transformation, Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley, two brothers who once ruled the industry together, stood side by side once again. Their reunion wasn't nostalgia, it was a warning, a declaration that something bigger than titles or alliances is brewing, and the entire WWE roster felt it in their bones. The road back to brotherhood. For years, the paths of Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley couldn't have been more different. Roman ascended to become the tribal chief, the face of WWE's modern era, a symbol of dominance, precision, and control. Moxley, the unpredictable rebel, walked his own path of chaos and authenticity, carving a career defined by raw emotion and defiance. Once bonded by war and brotherhood in the Shield, they became opposites, one the strategist, the other the storm. But wrestling history has a strange way of writing its own stories. Every era finds balance, power breeds rebellion, and dominance invites resistance. With Paul Heyman's Vision faction expanding unchecked across Raw and SmackDown, featuring names like Brock Lesnar and others recruited to enforce corporate control, it was only a matter of time before a counterforce emerged. And that counterforce didn't come quietly. It came through the crowd. The lights go out. The moment was pure theater. Paul Heyman was in the middle of a calculated, confident promo, boasting about his faction's power and their inevitable control over WWE heading into Survivor Series. Then the lights cut out. The arena fell into complete darkness, 10 seconds that felt like 10 years. When the power returned, two figures stood in the ring, back to back, silent, unmoving. The crowd erupted before commentary could even find words. Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley, together. Roman held a microphone, the trademark calm intensity in his voice slicing through the noise. "You've been playing chess while everyone else plays checkers," he said, staring straight toward Heyman, "but you forgot about the wild cards." And then came Moxley, pacing like a caged animal, eyes wild, the energy of old times roaring back. "At Survivor Series," he said, "we're not coming to play your game. We're coming to flip the whole damn board over." The crowd shook the rafters. It wasn't a cheap pop. It was the sound of realization. WWE's balance of power had just changed. The alliance that no one saw coming. This wasn't the Shield reborn. This was something more evolved, more dangerous. Roman Reigns, the once dominant ruler of WWE, had learned every corporate and political trick the system could offer. Jon Moxley, the unchained spirit of rebellion, brought the raw unpredictability no system could contain. Together they represent the perfect paradox: discipline meets chaos. The locker room immediately felt the ripple. Superstars whispered backstage, wondering if they had just witnessed the rebirth of a movement that once changed wrestling forever. Others looked nervous. Those who had sided with Heyman's Vision faction realized their dominance was no longer guaranteed. This alliance wasn't about nostalgia, it was about disruption. It was about two men, once enemies, now united, reminding everyone that WWE doesn't belong to one man's vision. Survivor Series, the battlefield ahead. Survivor Series has always been a stage for legacy, for rivalry, for war, but this year it has become something deeper, a fight for the soul of WWE. The Vision faction, led by Heyman, represents structure, control, and corporate perfection. Reigns and Moxley represent something primal: freedom, brotherhood, and authenticity. Their challenge to Heyman's faction isn't just another wrestling storyline, it's a symbolic rebellion against the system that seeks to script every outcome, control every narrative, and manufacture every hero. Reigns and Moxley aren't asking for permission, they're taking back control of the story. Fans are already calling it the most personal Survivor Series since the Shield first stormed the scene a decade ago. And maybe that's fitting. because this isn't about reclaiming the past. It's about proving that the revolution that started all those years ago was never finished. The symbolism of the crowd entrance. When the two entered through the audience, the nostalgia hit instantly. It was a visual echo of their days in the Shield, but it carried a new message. It wasn't about dominance, it was about connection. By walking through the crowd again, Reigns and Moxley reminded everyone where they came from, among the people. The audience rose as one, chanting not for the Shield, but for something bigger. For the first time in years, Roman Reigns wasn't a distant king, and Jon Moxley wasn't a lone wolf. They were brothers of the people again, walking through the very energy that built their legend. It was a moment that bridged eras, a handshake between history and the present. The Vision faction. Reacts backstage, chaos reigned within Heyman's camp. Reports described Brock Lesnar pacing furiously, younger members of the faction demanding answers, and Heyman, ever the strategist, already trying to twist the narrative. But even Heyman knew what everyone in that arena knew. The game had changed. For the first time, the Vision faction wasn't dictating the pace. They were reacting to it. The empire they had built on control suddenly found itself facing something uncontrollable. Two men who couldn't be bought, manipulated, or intimidated. Two men who didn't need anyone's permission to start a revolution. The power of story and brotherhood. What makes the Reigns-Moxley reunion resonate so deeply isn't just the shock factor, it's the story underneath. The story of two men who started together, fought apart, and matured into their own legends before realizing their strongest message could only be sent together. Their alliance is not about recreating old memories. It's about finishing what they started years ago when they promised to change the game. The chemistry between them hasn't faded. It's evolved. Roman's calm dominance and Moxley's reckless fire create a balance that feels magnetic, authentic, and unstoppable. Together, they remind fans of what WWE can be when storytelling meets sincerity, when emotion outweighs ego, and when wrestlers fight not for contracts or sponsors, but for meaning. The beginning of a new era. As Survivor Series draws near, one truth echoes across arenas and social media alike. WWE is standing at the edge of another historic shift. The return of Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley as allies marks the beginning of something unpredictable, a movement that could redefine what loyalty, rebellion, and power mean in this industry. Their warning wasn't just a threat to a faction, it was a statement to the entire locker room, to the management, and even to the fans. It said that greatness isn't about crowns or contracts, it's about courage, conviction, and connection. When the lights go out again at Survivor Series, no one knows what will happen. But one thing is certain, the hounds of justice have returned, and this time, they're not here to rebuild the past. They're here to rewrite the future.